What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I've got a bombshell report to share with you guys here. For many years, I mean like over a decade, I've been concerned and looking into the concept of smart cities and what does it mean. Anytime I hear that terminology, especially locally, it sends chills down my spine because I know now, after my years and years of research, exactly what this stuff is. Well, 2 or 3 days ago, I was reading through the Gateway Pundit and I found an article, and here's the title of the article. Smart cities worldwide are being converted into open-air concentration camps, says ex-Silicon Valley engineer turned whistleblower. So I thought, I mean, this is barking right up my tree here. So I read further, and it says, Aman Jabi is a native of India and an engineer who worked in Silicon Valley for 25 years. He's a co-inventor of 2 cell phone camera apps. He immigrated to the United States in 1988 because he admired America's culture of liberty and ingenuity. And I can understand why. Back in 1988, we were full of liberty and ingenuity. Of course, you look around today, I don't know if that same guy would have still moved here based on what's going on today in Biden's America, but let's move on. Jabi now lives in Big Fork, Montana, and has become, in my opinion, one of the most important whistleblowers and voices of warning about the coming beast system. And yeah, I didn't stutter. It's the beast system. We're definitely, maybe we're not totally in it right now, but we're certainly heading that direction. Some of the most advanced elements of this infrastructure, as Jabi points out, are in states like Florida and Georgia and other red states. So even though you may be in a red state and you think, oh yeah, I've got all conservatives and Republicans in my state, so they'll put a stop to this. Many states like Florida, Georgia, and other red states have not put a stop to it. In fact, Texas is another one. A couple of the biggest smart cities there are Dallas and Austin, Texas. So just something to consider. If you live down in that area, just know you're being monitored, and it's going to continue to get more and more invasive as time goes on. So let's continue on. The way to defeat this system is so simple and yet so difficult. One thing I can promise you is that we will never be able to vote our way out of it, because the same people who are laying the infrastructure for smart cities worldwide are in control of these systems internationally. So I mean, that's huge. That's saying a lot. That's to me a strike against the idea of a one world government. All we have to do is say no. Reject the tools of our enslavement that are offered on a shiny silver platter that looks so enticing. We must recognize that these are the very same tools and products that make our busy 21st century lives so convenient, so efficient, and so entertaining. This is how the globalists intend on breaking the backs of free Americans. They will do it through our finances, through the healthcare system, and through the entertainment system. I think we've seen a lot of that, especially in the last few years. Digital ID cards disguised as health passports or smart health cards will be required to work a job, to access the internet, and coming digital bank accounts or digital wallets. The convergence of all these systems will make sure, in the words of the UN Agenda 2030, no person gets left behind. When I hear that, and UN, this comes straight from the UN, no person gets left behind. What that means, that's threatening to me as a person that values liberty and individual sovereignty and individual liberty and things like that. That's a threat to guys like me. By the time most people wake up and see that they have walked into a trap, it will be too late. They will have all of your data. They will know everything about you, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your vulnerabilities. What Jabi is describing in the above video is an extremely invasive technology being set up in smart cities, from license plate readers to smart lights and smart poles to smart cars and smart neighborhoods, smart homes and smart appliances, all connected to 5G and wirelessly communicating with each other. And again, we've walked ourselves right into this trap in the name of convenience, and I think that's one of the things he does a great job of pointing this out in this article. Continuing on. If you pay attention, you will see hundreds of these LED light poles lining the streets and highways. In many cases, they are retrofitted with surveillance cameras and speakers for listening. Jabi also talks about drone charging stations being set up and how drones might be weaponized against the citizens. And I don't know if you caught it or not, but like last week, there were a whole bunch of Chinese drones caught flying over Washington, D.C. I mean, that's a national security issue. I don't know how the commie in chief is going to handle it, or his people, but they probably won't do anything. All of this weaponized infrastructure is being installed with federal money, your tax dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars tucked into Joe Biden's infrastructure bill, as well as his Inflation Reduction Act bill, both of which were passed by Congress with help from Republicans. So we can't even count on the Republicans to hold the line. They talk the big talk when they're running, but then when they get in there, they vote for all this stuff that's basically selling our kids down the river, and us too. City and county leaders are fools for the federal grants. They typically don't even question what they're buying into with someone else's money. To them, it's just free money to invest in local infrastructure. That's why it's important for us to get involved on a local level, is to be able to get out in front of this stuff. And many of these city and county leaders have no idea. And when you start saying things, that's one of the problems with the way the media is structured right now. If you question the mainstream media, or if you question the Agenda 2030, then they're going to call you a tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist. And on the other side of their mouth, they'll be saying how wonderful the Agenda 2030 is going to be when they implement it. It's just complete bizarro world. So let's get into some examples here of what's going on in these smart cities. Number one, our streets are spying on us. Many of these LED smart lights are outfitted with what's called a puke ray, and it's P-U-K-E, like, vomiting, puke ray technology, which can be weaponized and used to incapacitate humans. This is a military technology being applied in our cities for potential use against civilians, courtesy of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. All major intersections in smart cities have digital surveillance cameras. Pay attention to the interstate highways, which are also now being outfitted with this technology. These cameras will be capable of logging the license plates of every car that passes by in real time. And thanks to 5G, they'll be able to upload it immediately and track people down, within an inch or two. Where before the towers were far enough apart, they couldn't track you as accurately. Well, now they'll have, real time, very, very precise tracking capabilities. Cameras and listening devices are going up everywhere in large, medium, and even smaller cities. Our cell phones are spying on us. Your cell phone is listening to you as well. And many of the newest phones are capable of tracking your eye movement on the screen. That is just scary. They're listening in. They're listening in. They're watching. They're analyzing. They're learning. Then it repeats the process, Jobby said. It's an open concentration camp for surveillance. And all of this technology is not for our safety and security as advertised. It's to grab data and to use it to change your behavior. Meaning the data will be used to enforce the coming social credit score system on all Americans and free people everywhere. I know not too long ago when you mentioned the words, social credit score, people would be like, no, that's just in China. That'll never happen here. We're the land of the free, the home of the brave, right? Well, then they came out with this backdoor way of doing it to our corporations called ESGs. Look it up sometime. It's scary. It's part of the reason we're having such energy problems with the prices of gasoline and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. Our appliances are spying on us. If you have one of the newer models of refrigerators that digitally tracks your fridge's inventory, all that data is being logged for future use against you. Eating too much meat and dairy? Your social credit score just got lowered a notch because the globalists don't like us eating meat. It's not sustainable in their vision for the world. Of course, they'll eat all the meat they want. Don't worry about Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and all the other rich elites. They'll be able to eat all the meat they want. You will have to eat Z-bugs. Our cars are spying on us. By 2025, Jobby said every new car will have a minimum of 16 cameras, all digitally connected and feeding information via the internet and 5G. Driving too much outside of your home base, adding unnecessarily to your carbon footprint, that is a waste of gasoline, and your social credit score just ticked down another notch. Our banks are spying on us. It's already been confirmed earlier this year that major banks and credit card companies track your purchases of guns and ammunition, and all of the biggest banks are experimenting with a voluntary carbon tracker app that notifies you of a carbon footprint, of your carbon footprint. This is just a warm-up for when they launch the new digital money, when keeping track of your carbon output no longer falls under the voluntary mode. In other words, they're going to start forcing you to do stuff because they'll have control of your purse strings. That's very dangerous. Our digital thermostats are spying on us. Remember how that worked out in Colorado this summer when people enrolled in a voluntary temperature monitoring program suddenly lost all control over their home's thermostats? The goal is to digitally map all things living and non-living. Even every tree and bush in nature will have a digital ID, because once you catalog them and map them, you can now track them and control them. The infrastructure for a lockdown police state is already in place. Remember the COVID lockdowns? They can do it again, and they're really wanting to do that again. Except for this time around, it may be because of global warming or climate change or whatever they want to call it that day. There are 1 billion digital surveillance cameras connected to the internet worldwide, and 50 million of them are in the US. That's more per capita than they have in China, according to Jobby. So, I mean, that should blow your mind right there. They're tracking us more already than they do in China. And, you know, if you've seen the social credit score stuff that they've got going on over there, I mean, it's nightmare Orwellian stuff. It's just, you can't make it up. The difference is that in China, the people know they are being watched 24/7, and they are compliant because they know there will be penalties for violating the rules. They know they are slaves and they accept it. So that's the only real difference, is they know they're slaves, we don't. In the US, they're already doing this surveillance, Jobby says. The only difference is they haven't told us yet. We're already in the same global system of surveillance. Some call it the Internet of Eyes, but the beast also has ears. It's not human eyes and human ears that are tracking everything we do, like in Nazi Germany or the old Soviet Union. No, it's artificial intelligence, AI, which is now watching over the prison. Unlike in China, where the slaves know their lot in life, most Americans are still oblivious to the prison walls going up around them. The prison is built on oppression and collection. The beast feeds on data, your data. We don't really see it because the tools of oppression, the same tools used in China, are presented differently here in America. We're told the surveillance cams are all there to catch bad guys. It's for our safety and security, don't you know? What, you don't want safe streets? You don't want a safe country? What? Oh, you know, why not? So here are the things they sell it to us on. Here's how they sell it to us: safety, security, and convenience. These are the three catchwords used to draw us in. If you know you're not a bad guy, but you enjoy convenience, it's tempting to say to yourself, I have nothing to hide. If you still have those thoughts, you have a very naive view of how these systems work and what their ultimate agenda entails. It is not just about catching bad guys and bad people. While they can be used for that purpose, there is much more going on behind the scenes. The data they are gathering on you is considered valuable for one reason and one reason only: to get you to change your behavior and submit to the beast system. A system that knows where you are at all times, what you are doing, what you are spending your money on, your time on, even what you're thinking. By giving them your data, you give them the ability to monitor and access your behavior, which can now be converted into a social credit score. That score is then used to determine what privileges you qualify for and which ones you don't in the new slave society. Are you living a sustainable lifestyle and helping fight climate change? Are you a team player? If not, you will not be allowed to participate in society. This is exactly how the C-19 vax was rolled out, through coercive policies enforced not just by the government but by its corporate partners. And John Kerry said at the COP27 conference in Egypt that this is the model they will use to enforce compliance with sustainability agenda being pushed by the United Nations and its myriad of partners in the private sector, headed by the World Economic Forum. So these people are all tied together. If your social credit score dips below a certain level, you lose your privileges. Maybe your kids don't even get into better schools, or you lose out on promotions at work. You can't enter restaurants or public events. You're separated out by a new apartheid system being overseen by artificial intelligence. Now, once the digital programmable money is in place, you don't get to spend your money on certain things, and it's limited to certain areas. Once this system is in place, you will have a digital ID for everything. Eventually, you won't be able to access any government or public services. You won't be able to travel across national borders or access healthcare or the internet without a digital ID. They believe they can get away with this because some 5 billion of the world's 7.5 billion already complied with the dry run, the dress rehearsal, if you will, which was the jab, and accepting it as the passport for entry into public places. You will be required to prove your identity through a digital program containing your unique biometric markers, a thumbprint or facial scan. Cell phones are already asking and prodding us for information. The new driver's license all want biometric markers. Your face will be linked to a new digital CBDC currency. Without it, you will be locked out of the system. No job, no health care, no social security check, no buying or selling, nothing. That's the plan, folks. And they want to achieve this by 2030 at the latest. They will likely spring the new digital money system on us in 2023 and phase out cash altogether within a few years after that. And in fact, I just read another side story a couple days ago. They're dry running the CDBC currency right now. They're doing a dry run on it. They're testing it out. And I guarantee you, the things they're going to find are, hey, we don't have to print as much money out. That's going to save us money on the back end. And if we ever want to just add more zeros to the end of the national debt, we can just, punch a button on a computer rather than having to actually print out physical dollars. So it's going to make a lot of sense to them from their perspective to go to this CBDC currency. I think it's the end of America if it happens. Let me tell you about some of these smart cities to avoid here in the United States of America. Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Charlotte, North Carolina, San Francisco, California, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, Boston, Massachusetts, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder, Colorado, San Jose, California, New York, New York. Solutions: ditch all unnecessary devices. Apple Watches, Ring doorbells, Alexa, robotic vacuum cleaners, baby monitors, high-tech refrigerators. These are all eyes and ears right inside your home of the beast system. Shop local farmers for your vegetables, meat, and dairy. Use thrift shops and smaller independent gas stations. Yes, you'll usually have to pay a little more. It's always better to buy with cash from a local mom and pop retailer who doesn't have cameras on you from the time you walk into the store till the time you walk out. Turn off routers before you go to bed at night. Use a Faraday bag for your phone when traveling, but let's be honest, we're all going to have to destroy our cell phones at some point if we want to remain free. Develop parallel systems, focusing on low-tech alternatives. If I could do it right now, I would smash my smartphone and go out and buy an old-fashioned flip phone. The problem is that they're still tracking you all the same ways, except for you don't have the access to the tablet features of your phone. So you can't use it to surf the internet, while you're on the toilet or whatever, right? So, we're going to have to give up these conveniences and this entertainment if we want to remain free. Bottom line, this is a spiritual war being waged with high-tech tools in the hands of the very wealthy Luciferian elites. But there is nothing higher than the throne of Christ. We will win if we live in close relationship with Him, and we do what this man suggested, and we ditch all unnecessary devices. Do not invite this stuff into your house. You're letting the devil in. That's basically the best way I can just summarize the entire thing. Smart cities, smart grids are dangerous for people that love liberty and freedom and sovereignty in the United States of America and want to see our country go on and be, prosperous for the future generations that are coming after us, right? So anyway, guys, I've been looking to do a video like this for a long time, but this guy, Jobby, he actually summarized everything that I've been considering and thinking about. And the reason it's so important is this guy is a whistleblower that's been inside, working behind the scenes. And I only just briefly summarize this article here. It goes on and on and on. There was a lot more stuff that I had to edit out just for keeping the video short and everything. But let me know what you guys think about smart cities. If you live near one, what do you think about that? Do you like all the conveniences? Is it worth trading your freedom for? The whole thing with the digital dollar and not being able to buy, sell, and trade, is that the mark of the beast? Sounds like it to me. So let me know what you guys think about this. If you have any suggestions for other people that could avoid this smart technology, things you can do to basically disconnect yourself from the beast system and connect yourself with the Spirit of Jesus Christ. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty. I hope you do too. We'll see you next time.